Okay, dear all, by now you guys know your midterm examination points, and I think we need to describe about our midterm examination questions for IAC 338 in details. The first questions describe the topic, the colonizer and the colonized, through the relationship between Naga and the Western characters. The historical background of Myanmar under colonization can be used in supporting the topics for 5 points. At this point, you guys answered this question quite well and you did very well. You can see from your points some got 3.5 until 4 per this question. So let's see, what should we do in answering this question? The colonizer are right far, beer, more, and view, right? While the colonized is Naga from the Road to Wanting novel, right? And you can see that if we want to describe it more clearly, you should put the relationship together, right? The first thing you should describe the relationship between Naga and Fa and More first, and then you describe the relationship between Naga and Bear, especially in their role playing of where the wise things are, which is very clearly that is the role play portray the relationship between the colonizer and the colonized, because we see Bia as a boy who is a colonizer, and Naga was ordered by Bia to role play as the white thing. This is the same as the Orientalism idea of the Westerner as the colonizer, the conqueror, and even the hunter, while the Southeast Asian people always were considered as a wild thing and exotic things, right? The next relationship, you can describe the relationship between Naga and Fa and Mo. You see that Fa and Mo interested in Naga because they want to study about the Lu tribe because they were the anthropologists, right? And after Nagas couldn't reply or give them the interesting information, they never neglect Naga, but truly adopted her as another daughter. It's the same relationship with the Myanmar historical background under England colonization, right? Because under the English Empire, you will see that Myanmar was colonized by England, and after the World War II, England left Myanmar alone and never looked back to them again. It's the same relationship when Fa and Mo couldn't adopt Naga and couldn't bring her to the US with them, so they just left her and never looked back again to her. The next relationship is the relationship between Naga and View. You will see that it's repeatedly the relationship with Fa and More and Naga. You'll see that Will is interested in Naga because he saw her as an object of study and he also was an anthropologist. At this point, you will see that Will also want to get some information about Lu tribe from Naga, and afterwards he realized that Naga couldn't give him more information, so he just sent her back. At this point, you will see the relationship between the colonizer and the colonized in modern world, because at this point, Will was a Westerner who wanted to gain some information from the Southeast Asian people in order to study and for educational purpose, right? At this point, you will see that Will just think over Naga because he just pretend that he used his own feelings to judge that Naga should go back to Myanmar, while he didn't ask Naga she wanted or not. So this is the same as the relationship between the colonizer and the colonized, because the colonizer always think with their own feeling, with their own standards, that this should be that, that should be that, but never ask the local people what they think and what they want. And the last relationship, some of you might mention the relationship between Georgia Singh and Naga. This is also the colonizer in disguise, because you see that even Georgia Singh is a Myanmar person, but actually she was colonized from internal value and her own internal admiration of the Westerner, because Georgia Singh came to work with the foreigners in Rangoon City. And she worked for the missionary, she believed in Christianity, and she even keeps speaking English all the time, and she tried hard to please all the foreigners. So you see that Georgia Singh played the same role as the colonizer, because she kept teaching Naga how to speak good English, how to behave like Westerners. At this point, it shows us the situation of the post-colonialism in the post-colonized era. Because of what? Because even the Westerner was moved out of the country. They never possessed, they never conquered the country anymore. But the people who was obtained, who was implanted the ideology, implanted the language, implanted the value of the Westerners, still admire Westerner, and even keep playing the role of the colonizer among the same race group, the same people of their own group. You see that Georgia Singh play a colonizer role over Naga. She pretends that she is a Westerner, and she keeps teaching Naga how to behave like a Westerner. Even the Westerner themselves didn't appear in Myanmar anymore. They didn't conquer Myanmar anymore. But Myanmar people who absorbed or obtained the Western value themselves will role play the colonizer and try to oppress the their own people, their own same race citizens. Next, the question number 2, explore and explain Myanmar's social problems presented in the novel The Road to One Thing, such as various minority groups, human trafficking, and female problems. You will see that in our documents I gave you, the selected Myanmar literature, you will see in the documents about this topic of minority groups, human trafficking, as female problems. All of you guys did well in this question, and for anyone who need to improve, you have to describe every topics here. You need to describe about the problems of various minority groups, what happened in the story about various minority groups, especially the hierarchy among the root tribes and root types, right? Next thing, the human trafficking. You will see that Naga was moved to Thailand because of illegal human trafficking, right? And you need to describe this problem. And the last thing, the female problems. You need to describe the female problem, especially from Naga life. You see that Naga was persuaded to the human trafficking because of the poverty problem in Myanmar. And after all, when she gathered with the Thai prostitutes, you will see many of Thai female prostitutes too. You will see that they were raped by their own parents, and they even have to devote themselves for the family's incomes. And next, you will see the health problems of the HIV infected among the prostitutions. And you will see that even from the movie Naga Saw, she mentioned it about the Indian women who devoted herself for the family by digging some vegetables for the family members, but finally ended up bombing in the fields. And you will see the female devotions to the family, and afterwards they didn't gain anything back, even their own disasters and their own destroying Okay, let's see. Let's move to the question number 3. For the question number 2, exemplify, it means to exemplify, for example, things, right? And describe the pursuits of happiness. The pursuits of happiness means how to obtain happiness in the novel Banana Hot Summer. Among Filipino women's character in the novel Banana Hot Summer. So if you guys want to do well in this question, you have to answer everything, every techniques that our women's character use in this novel, such as eating. So you need to describe how eating is important to our character, especially Nenita, the main character. She eats because she lacks of love from her mother, and she needs to eat in order to fulfilled her own needs of mother loves, right? The next technique is cooking. You have to describe about how cooking is important to our characters, such as the cooking is important for Nana Dora in case of she can't produce a child, so she produced a food instead. And cooking is important to Mrs. Eleno because she need to shift from her sadness to cooking by herself. She needs to escape from her sad life of the husband who betrayed her. And next thing, you need to describe about how the storytelling is important to our characters, such as Nenita, because Nenita always keep telling a story in order to be positive towards her life. She always tell an interesting story to her friends, and she make fun of herself. The next thing, you need to describe the techniques of praying to gods, because of in the story, in the novel and the excerpts I selected for you in the document of Philippines literature. I describes about the praying to gods among Filipinos women, because you see that some parts show us praying to gods is quite important for Filipino people, because they believe strongly in Christianity, and they believe that one God for one problem. If you have a problem of lovesick, you need to pray to one God, and if you have health problem, you have to pray to another God. And some folk beliefs, you need to describe about the Aqua de Mayo, right? And also describes about the myths of drinking the first dew drop from banana heart, right? So at this point, where to find the information? I just gave you the documents of Philippine literature PDF files, right? From this file, you can get everything to answer the question number 3. Let's see. In the topic of the pursuits of happiness. Okay, let's move on. Female myths, blah blah blah. Let's see. This topic in the document I gave you, the Philippines literature PDF, you got everything to describe the question number 3, because the pursuits of happiness show you this one, the importance of eating. And the next one you will see uh, the importance of the folk beliefs, right? And also the praying to gods is here. And also the importance of storytelling is also here. Many excerpts about pursuits of happiness. You can use it to answer question number 3 and number 4, right? Let's move on to the question number 4. Exemplify some excerpts from the novel Banana Hot Summer. This is truly the problematic question for you guys, because some of you got lower points at this question. Exemplify some excerpts. Focus. Some excerpts. Some excerpts mean that not keep repeated telling about the story happened in the novel, but you need to show me, write some excerpts, some paragraph from the novel Banana Hot Summer related to the Philippine social problems, and describe So I just mentioned you need to bring out the excerpt about the poverty, excerpts about overpopulation, child abuse, and social difference. I mean the paragraph from the novel. If you don't have the full version of the novel, let's see in the same document, Philippines Lit document. I brought you a lot of excerpts from the novel, and you can select the excerpts about the Philippines problems, social problems. You can see from here the Christianity and women, and you can see many problems about social difference, about the conflict between mothers and daughter, and everything. Any paragraph can be used in question number 4. And you can see this is to the paragraph, the excerpts, to show you the social difference. That summer I understood that father love would never be enough. You should bring this paragraph and write in your answer paper and then describes about it, right? And then you can say uh, even the poverty and overpopulation also, because and this one also, sometimes you look at me as if I belong to someone else, and this can use for child abuse, or this one pig, worthless pig. Not just giving me the pig and worthless pigs, but you need to give me the whole paragraph and then describe what it is about, some excerpts to portray this poverty, overpopulation, child abuse, and social difference, right? And next time, if I mention some excerpts in our examination, I means that you have to put the paragraph, some paragraph from the novel related to the topics, right? And you will get the full 5 points. And move to our last question. Compare and contrast the characters of Naka and Nenita along with Myanmar and the Philippines. Some of you did very well in this question. You will see that we need to compare Naka and Nenita's background, right? Such as the Philippines and Myanmar background of under colonization, and you will see that Naga faced with the social problem while Nenita faced with domestic problem, right? Naga faced with the living with the foreigners and immigrants a lot of time, and she was faced with human trafficking, health problems, and even the transnationalism problems. And let's move to Nita. Nita faced with the problem of poverty and domestic problems, the clashes between her mother and her lack of food, her lack of love, and her lack of social status. And you can compare the historical backgrounds of Myanmar and the Philippines, which caused the social problem nowadays. Under long colonization, Philippines has never emerged as the very rich country by now. They still was underdeveloped country, and the problems of overpopulation made the country import, oh no, sorry, export the immigrant workers to other country, right? We say we saw many Filipino maids, many Filipino workers in many countries, right? Because there was less occupation for them in their own country. There were less jobs in their own country. And let's see, we need to compare Naga and Nenita in the character themselves. You will see that Naga always depend on someone else and she lost in herself, while Nenita was quite more strong because she truly believed in her skill and she finally realized her own value. And you will see that both Naga and Nenita try hard to find the happiness in life, but Nenita ended up successfully because finally she realized her true own value and she didn't want to depend on or asking for love from someone else anymore, while Naga still can't and can't depend on her own self and still wants to depend on someone else. So this is the end of our declaring and explaining about our midterm examination. So the next thing is I want to show you something because we still have a text. We still have a text for this semester in this subject. I have a task for you in our online presentation. Let's see what will happen next. For our topics for presentation, I have to change from the classroom presentation to the presentation on video clip, and you're supposed to give me the YouTube link, and I will check from the link and then grade you for 10 points. You will see that for the 10th point, what you have to do for it. First thing, you need to group in 5 or 6 people per one group, and then create a video clip for your presentation about 10 or 15 minutes. Your PPT PowerPoint with your voice, or maybe you can record your presentations also are fine. Okay, sorry for my wrong typing. Your presentations, okay, are fine. It depends on your creativity, and feel free to create the video clip. Give me your group name, members, and topic within 26 March evening in our live group, and the deadlines of our video clip, right, of presentation will be on 16 4 20, right? The deadline of our video clip will be on 16 April 20. Okay, let's see the topics on one group per one topic. You can select your own topic for your video presentation from this one group per one topic. You can consult and tell your friend which one you choose, and then find out what what other topic for other groups: Christianity in the Philippines, Myanmar minority groups, Singapore policies on women, Tamil Indian people in Singapore, Peranakan culture in Singapore, industrialization and new economics policy in Malaysia, Indonesia under colonization. There's a lot of information I guarantee on the internet for this topic, and I want you guys to study and research about this topic and present to your friends. Because of what? Because all the topics are important for our novel, for our study of the novel, because it will give us the background of Southeast Asian problems, and you guys can see, can truly understand our novel and short story after you research and study about these topics. After you present your video clips, I want you to share the video clip with your friends, and afterwards I will give you some tasks to do after watching your friend's video clip. So the deadline of our video clip will be on 16/4/20, right? And after selecting the topic and create your group name and find out your members of the group, you can start doing your video clip directly. Okay, so I will end up this video clip first, and see you tomorrow for my next clips of two Singaporean short story of AP Velu and Belcha. Thank you guys.